Good morning, everyone. Sorry for my I totally didn't have the video ready to play and I'm sitting there like I gotta do something.
I'm like,
What's going
what?
on?
Oh, it's me. It's just me. All right.
Oh, so you know, but anyway, my name's Hank Setala. I'm the Sonic Shaman here with my dear friend and colleague Dr. K talking about breaking beliefs. At least that's what I kind of called it at the last second because all beliefs, good or bad, have the tendency to hold us in limitation. In fact, sometimes the good beliefs stick us worse than the bad beliefs. So today is all about one, what beliefs are, how they affect us, and how do we break through them.
Yeah, and we lied. I wasn't going to be on today because I had something else going on, but that all changed. So surprise, I am here. We're here. So hope you guys tune in. Yeah, beliefs are. This is a big topic, and it's been around for books, tons of books on it, and different angles, and it's all got to do with this and our brains. And Mark is on. I was like, oh, Mark's going to miss us because we lied and said we were going to be on. The biggest thing in almost, I don't know what percentage you want to put on it, Hank, but I want to say like almost 85%, if not 90% of our lives is these limiting beliefs, that these belief patterns we have that keep us stuck. And when they say you can't why are you not getting to your, why? Oops.
Yeah. You caught yourself. You
I
caught yourself.
did. I know Hank's going to yell at me. So getting to the next space, they say you're in your own way. And I'd say maybe even it's 100% of the, maybe 90% of the
100%.
time, we are in our own way. We come up with all these layers of I can't, I don't have the money, this is too big, I'm not smart enough, no one's gonna like me, this isn't gonna work. Let's see, I'm not that strong. All these are all there's 1,000 of these we can come up with. We
Yep.
can create a huge list of these limiting beliefs and seeing which one resonates with you. Which one have you said any of those to yourself?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's layers of this too, because conceptually we all have a knowing. At least I feel that somewhere we all have a knowing that truly, as an infinite being, we all have unlimited possibility. That literally we could create anything in our life. However, if that's not our experience, what belief might we not realize is cemented in our other than conscious or subconscious that is creating for us unconsciously, that's stopping us from actually stepping into the possibilities that we would choose. But to your point, 100% of your
Yeah,
reality
it
is
kind of
created by
is.
beliefs, because you could have the belief that anything is possible and then anything in your world is possible, but all these beliefs, they end up forming our reality around us and what we can and can't do around us. And like I said, the good, sometimes the energy, I'll just give one, of settling, like, oh, there's other people in the world that need it more, or I'm not worthy, or whatever the case is. Like a limiting belief can, or a good belief, like thinking something's good enough, you might never ask the universe for more and you don't have much more show up in your life. So like it's a lot of things. Now, also, good morning, Mark. He caught us. So like, even though we told everybody we weren't going to be on, Mark found us anyway. We also have Jeanette tuning in, just
That's
saying
my
good
friend
morning,
Jeanette. Hi,
and
Jeanette.
Ernie all tuning in. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're getting value out of our videos, please take a moment, share it. There's a link in the Facebook description for our YouTube link. That's the best place to share, because Google will say we're a more relevant service to more people. So it all definitely helps out. But thank you for everybody joining us and for offering your contribution to the stream.
Yeah, this is a place where I will admit I get stuck too. A lot of people get stuck here because people like the point that you come to is either number one, to get yourself to that level of realizing that you're having a limiting belief. That's number one. Gaining the awareness that this is a limiting belief, that you are creating this in your head. And then number two is, okay, great. Once you've gotten yourself there and going, you caught yourself. All right, this is a limiting belief. What's the way to get past this? This is the challenging piece of walking across that bridge. And it's challenging. It's been challenging for me sometimes. It's almost like one of those things where if you've ever gone skiing or swimming lessons, you guys ever took swimming lessons, and you're at the edge of the pool and it's time to learn. So the teacher's like, okay, everybody jump in. and you're like, I don't know, and you wait there. There's no in between. You're gonna have to get in the water, or you get out, or you just drop. You don't do
Uh,
the lesson. So
Ooh,
yeah.
I got a really good example. And if anybody can find a clip of this, I've been looking for this cartoon clip for years because it's such a great example. There's this one of Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd. And I believe it's when they're babies or they're younger. And this just shows how point of view creates your reality. Elmer Fudd runs off a cliff, right? And he's just hanging there in midair and he's not falling. And Bugs Bunny hands him a book, and you can see on the book it's written physics. And he opens the book and he's reading it. And then all of a sudden he's like, gravity, and he just falls. So, like, right in that moment, his point of view, his belief changed, and then his reality shifted, and he fell. So, like, when you don't have a limiting belief, literally anything's possible. But it's these beliefs that get into us from a very young age that we might not even remember. Like, you got to work hard to make money,
Hmm.
or even worse, money makes you turn evil. So what if you're not willing to receive in your life because if you had money, you become an asshole? And now subconsciously, you won't allow yourself to receive at past a certain point. These are
Yeah.
called glass ceilings of limitation. They're these things
Hmm.
that are stuck from such a young age that stick us so badly and we don't even realize it. So that's why you have to start really asking questions. Well, what in my experience, what is it about in me that is not allowing things to show up how I'd like them to show up?
And this is another avenue to get sick, guys, by the way. It's fascinating how we create things and we create sicknesses because we're not going to get past that point. So we'll create something because, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. And then you'll create something to prove to yourself that you can't do it. This has so many branches. It's fascinating. And the trickery on this is to walk through the door, sweep away the limiting belief, throw it to the ground, and walk through the door. It's the whole fear it but do it anyway. So
Yep.
but the point is, number one, you have to catch all these limiting beliefs, because if you don't have the awareness to catch yourself, then you won't even know it's there. You're just going to say, that's too expensive. I can't do it. I can't do that, whatever. And then you've completely missed the point of the universe bringing you to that point of, yes, you can. This is what you need to do. And sometimes you don't even, like Hank said, we don't ask big enough. We feel like, okay, this is as far as I'm going to get. This is good. I'm going to hang out here, when
Oh yeah.
there's so much more possibility, so
Yeah.
much more.
If you ever catch yourself saying it's good enough, that means you're settling. That means
Yeah,
you just told the
that's
universe,
called settling.
yo, it's all right. I don't need any more. You don't have to focus on me. But there's infinite abundance. You can say, universe, how does it get any better than this? Instead of settling, ask, what else is possible, universe? Show me, how does it get any better than this? And then you put that out there and the universe delivers that to you. And since you mentioned fear, because I love my acronyms, fear fear at a young age is often misidentified as from excitement to fear. And one example by Dr. Dane here, he was getting all excited to go on like a merry-go-round or some ride as a kid, and his mom said, now don't be afraid. And at that moment he started misidentifying his
Mm-hmm.
excitement with fear. And I had the same experience in Disney with my own son Max. We were in line at Slinky Dog, and he had not ridden any of the roller coaster rides at all. And I remembered this story from Dr. Dane, and I asked Max, are you afraid or are you excited? And he thought about it for a moment. He's like, I'm excited, Daddy. And then he went on the ride, and then you could not get enough of it. So, like, real time experience, like catching my own self, like, especially with a second child or first child, like, parents are way protective, and they're like, be careful, be careful, be careful. But the child is excited about exploring the world. So what do we teach them at a young age? And Max is a great example. And asking that question shifted his reality, and then he stepped into that excitement that he was misidentifying as fear. And I have a cool little acronym. I put it there: feeling excited and ready.
Excited,
So you can
ready.
really see, really, like, wherever you're afraid to step into something, like, how could you shift that belief and make that a potency?
We learn so much of this as kids in a box. Don't do this. This is bad. This is good. Don't do that. Don't go there. Don't dress like that. Don't talk like that. Don't do that. When we start developing these things, because up to the age, I believe it's up about 5, maybe up to 7, that we are like sponges. So we take everything in unconsciously. We don't judge it. We don't look at it. We just accept it as truth. So when you're 1, 2, 3 years old, notice how you like push up against the wall. And that's when parents are like, don't do that. And so we push the edge a little more, because we have no filter then. We just don't. I remember when I learned skiing, I was like 28 by the time I learned. And I watched these little kids. I'm like, these guys have no fear whatsoever. And somehow I didn't learn right. And I had all these things already built up. And fell multiple times and I was so pissed. And I was like, and so I created a fear around skiing. So now I'm trying to break through that fear. So trying to learn these things when you're young, getting these things when you're younger is key. And well, parents will instill a lot of those beliefs. So then the body and the head just imprints that into itself, and then you walk around with these things, and they build up more and more and more and more. And that's how these things happen.
Yep. Ernie brings up a really good point. He says, hold on to your beliefs with loose fingers, ready for change. The willingness to even have a change is huge. Like, so many people identify with their beliefs so much that without them, they're lost. Who would you be without your beliefs? So really, the willingness to even change them is half the battle. And Shauna gives a good one too. Rich people are up to something. How many people do we know that have a lot of money that do questionable things? And would we identify, well, if I have money, does that mean I'm going to be shady? These are all things like, if we start comparing ourselves to other people's choices, then we might not allow ourselves to experience and receive some of the things the universe could deliver to us because we're afraid that we'll be like someone else. Be your own unique, authentic voice. A couple more comments just to get through them. Jay offers, forward movement is not a friend of hesitation. In my opinion, glass ceilings and limitations. I love it. Yeah, glass ceilings is a huge thing. And keep in mind too, the energy of non-decision, like you have no momentum going anywhere.
Yeah.
Simply choose, and then know that you can change your mind. But at least you have the moment. How is it easier for a boat to change direction while it's moving or when it's stationary? Think about the Titanic, right?
That's a big one.
Maybe that's a bad example because it still hit the iceberg, but you get my point. Like you need to have the motion in order to change your trajectory and take you somewhere different. But
Otherwise,
if you don't,
you're stuck.
exactly. And then Anne Marie offers, no limits. Bring on the big universe. Absolutely. What energy could you be to receive the infinite possibilities the universe is just begging to gift to you? What would it take?
Yeah, totally. And the universe wants the best for you. Why would it not? That makes no sense. If you're feeling punishment, that's another limiting belief. On some level, you were taught that I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. That's a big one that a lot of people break through because your parents are like, no, don't ask for more. Don't, that's not nice. That's not nice to ask, don't ask for help. And so we have all these things. Why would God, the universe, whatever you want to identify with as source, why would they not want the best for you? God is a big one. It's, a lot of people view God as a punishment. Like, you have to be humble. You have to be, there's so many little things in churches that they say. My favorite one is, Lord, I'm not worthy to receive you, but say the word and I shall be. That's such a limiting belief. Why would God not want to give that to you? Why? I mean, really, you're that horrible of a person? Unconditional love and this cannot coexist. So these things we learn a lot through churches sometimes too, that we shouldn't be wealthy, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't, those are all shouldn'ts, and we learn that the failure is terrible. So if you make a decision and it didn't go so well, first of all, make a decision. If you're in indecision, you're stuck in a hurricane, in a cycle, and we get there sometimes. Should I do this? I don't know if I should do this. Maybe this won't work out. Just make a decision. And if it doesn't work out, then you just go, okay, let's reevaluate, and you can always make another decision. So these are really interesting things that start percolating in our lives and keep us from all the good that can happen in our lives on so many levels.
Absolutely. There was something I was going to add to that, but then I just went poof. Don't know where it was.
Things go poof here a lot.
Right. Well, one thing was, and it was leading in around Neil Donald Walsh's work. And when we use the word God, know that it's not necessarily in the religious context. I like the word source, and it's if we use words and vocabulary that don't jive with you, feel free to substitute words however you need to receive them, and don't let language be a limiting factor in what we're saying. Because I'm a recovering Lutheran myself, so I get it when some people hear God, there's so much preconceived heaviness around the word that it can spin people in different directions. But anyway, Conversations with God, there is a book called Communion with God where they talk about the 10 illusions, and really all the beliefs of limitation stem from one illusion, one of the 10, that this unity exists. Our belief that even though we have this separate experience, like everybody's having their own experience, the idea that we're separate and not one, that is where the foundation of all the other things holding us in limitation and not having things come into our life, like the idea of punishment and the idea of there's not enough and scarcity. All those are like illusions built on the fact that if we're all one, how could you ever not have enough of anything? Because you are it all. right?
Mhm.
So if we can really come down to remembering when you're looking at a situation and not really knowing, if you say like, may the God in me greet the God in thee, may the source in me greet the source in thee for the highest good, it starts to shift the awareness and recognizing that there is a oneness in it, and that in itself changes us from going in like creating from relationships to creationships, because relationships is where you're acknowledging duality, creationships is where you're acknowledging oneality, and the whole experience of creating and receiving from the universe shifts exponentially when you can go to the oneality part of it. I think that was what I was going to say, but anyway, I don't really remember now.
The thought just came to mind. You know, the Nike, it says just do it. That's really
Yeah,
just how it really has to come to that. Like, just do it. We
just
sit
choose.
there and we think about it. I don't know. Then we overthink and then we stop. That's the biggest thing that starts to happen. We stop. And then when you
Yeah,
stop, you're not moving forward anymore. So don't overthink it. First thing that comes to mind, yes, I think this is something I want to do. No, this is not something I want to do. Yes, I feel like this is going to be for my highest best. No, it's not. And if you make a mistake, it's okay, but just do it. If you have that kind of mantra to go forth, and I'm like, I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to do this. First thing, that some of the most wealthy people are risk takers, and the way they make a decision. And if it's not the right decision, then it's not
they
the right
choose again.
decision. They choose again. Yeah.
Yep.
You think the world's not going to come to an end if you make the wrong decision. We
Because there is no
are,
wrong decision.
there
Every
really isn't.
choice
Yeah.
gives you more data, more
Yeah.
experience,
Yep.
more knowing, and then you make another choice and you just keep choosing. In fact, Access, one of their tools is choose in 10-second increments. Choose every 10 seconds you make a choice and you keep good orderly direction, God, right? And you can continue to bring the things into your life that you're really looking to create. There was another thing. Everything's just going poo for me today. I can't hold on to a thought.
Ooh.
Uh, what energy could I be? Well, plus our conversation's so dynamic. Like I think like I have one inspiration by the time it comes up to say it. The inspiration of the moment change, which now reminds me what I was going to say. Your inspirations, those are knowings from the soul. Like when you know that you know that you know, like you have this inspiration to write a book or to start a class or to start a live stream, whatever it is. Then all of a sudden your mind starts going, well, is that really a good choice? And it you almost talk yourself out of it,
You
because
do.
feeling is the language of the soul. That initial inspiration is truly like your own knowing, and then the brain, the ego, edging God out, tries to talk you out of doing things that are going to create different possibilities, because your ego doesn't know the outcome, and your ego's job is to keep you safe, and it says, no, 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 don't choose that, choose this again over here, the same cycle that you've been choosing, because we know that you survived it. And so it's
Yeah.
like a balance, because you can't get rid of ego has a very unique purpose, keeping our individuality, um, while we're actually still one. It's like a that's the water balloon skin that allows the drop to be apart from the ocean, even though it's the ocean, right?
Right. And it's a strong thing. It can get a really strong hold on you. It has gotten me multiple times. Like, don't do that. What if that goes really wrong? Then you're really going to screw up, and you're really not going to be able to get there. So the pull can be really strong to the point that you stop. Really, it ends up stopping you. So just be aware when that happens and you feel this pull back. Like, I don't know, that's really scary. I don't. You're going to feel the initial drive of, I really want to do that. I really want to do that. And if that keeps coming up, and you'll feel it like almost like an acid reflux, it just like comes, and if it keeps pinching you and these thoughts keep coming, that is probably something that the universe is trying, or source is trying to get you to do. But you keep pulling back, going, I don't. That's your ego. Okay, so make sure you're differentiating between the two things. It's often not something that's really going to protect you. It is not truly, the source is trying to move you forward, because the soul, we all have a soul, it wants to expand, it wants to do good in this world, it wants to create, it wants to live a magnificent life. We are the ones, our egos, unfortunately, we got this program when we got into this body that pulls us back because of past experiences of things going wrong. And it's happened to me. Like
Yep.
if you try something and it doesn't turn out, or you get hurt, or it didn't go as well as you wanted, then you've created that imprint, and your ego will go back to that and say, see, it didn't work out, so you shouldn't do it again.
Ooh,
So
and that
yeah.
sounds like the panoptic gaze from parents too. And then I'm going to bring up Mark's comment in a second. But that's the thing too. Like how many people, when their parents were, when you're growing up, they didn't want you to be disappointed, and they would actually not all parents, but a lot of parents might teach their children, rein your dreams back a little bit. You don't want to dream so big and then it not happen and then be
Oh,
disappointed.
yeah.
And we're trained at a very young age, like to settle for less, settle for a place where you know you're going to get what you're looking for and you're not disappointed that you didn't get more and all that. And that is like a huge one. But Mark, this is probably one of my favorite comments you've ever said on the show. He's our resident comedian. Normally it's wisecracks. You can see the in the comments if you're on Facebook, you can see his comments that were the joking kind. But he says, there is no such thing as success or failure. There is only outcome.
Outcome.
And it's our judgments of something being a success or a failure. And either one traps you into limitation because either one is a belief. Outcome, and then you choose again. Outcome, and then you choose again. And switch success and failure to that was a preferred outcome or a not preferred outcome. It's because you're not labeling it as good or bad, right or wrong. Just, well, I would have liked it to show up differently, but we'll just choose again. There's a whole different energy around it when you look at it that way.
Absolutely. So these are things we deal with thousands and thousands of times a day. All these crazy things that come up in our head. Should I do this? Should I not do this? I don't know. That doesn't sound. Maybe I can get it cheaper. All these things. This will cost too much money. I don't think I'm going to do this. We fear what comes out on the other side. And what if I do this and nothing happens? It's okay. A lot of my clients, I tell people like, well, everything's gotten paid for, hasn't it, in your life? Are you still standing? Are you still in your home? Yeah. Are you still alive? Yeah. Are you homeless on the street with your bag? No. Everything's gotten paid for. Like, there's things I hesitated to get because I'm like, oh man, what if this puts me under and I go broke? Screw it, I'll buy it. And I look back now 10 years, that was on the credit card. It's long gone and paid for. Been long gone and paid for.
And guess what? Some of the most successful people in the world, in the country, how many times did they file bankruptcy before they made it big? Right? Like people that are willing to take the risk, willing to have an outcome that many of us wouldn't prefer, and then move through it anyway and choose again and choose again. They are the ones that heard, you can't do that. That's impossible. They said, maybe, but I'm going to do it anyway. And they just push through it. Yeah. But that is also a thing. Don't let your belief that in order to make it big, I have to experience a bankruptcy or experience losing everything. Because we also look at these crazy stories of people's that have made it big and the low point. And what if I'm afraid of that low? So I'm not willing to receive the high. What if you could just receive and not have to have that low point show up? Those are also like these little beliefs that might like cut us out. I want to bring up Jay's comment. This is a little bit long. You might not be able to see us. You have to look over. But Jay was saying that when they first moved to Florida, he was 14. His mom had panic attacks about him surfing, sharks, drowning, etc. But there was nothing better for him. The fear and moving through the fear gave me tools I needed for all of my life. Invaluable. I think of the stress I put my parents through, but I'm happy they let me challenge myself. Being in my 40s, I find my mind is still willing to take the risk without fear. It separates me from a lot of friends, but living without goals does not interest me.
Love that.
Yeah, because your past, those are pearls of wisdom that you can use to be a service for all the people around you. And the one word I want to call out there, the word goal. Feel the word target instead, because if you think of sports, when you hit the goal, all the energy, all the momentum shifts the other way. But a target, you hit a target, you move the target. It keeps continuous forward momentum. And a goal is in more decisions, judgment, and conclusion. A target is just an aiming point, really, but you give the flexibility in think of an arrow flying. In mid-flight, you can do course corrections, you can shift, you can move the target. It's just a more flexible term energetically. But to each his own. I see Dr. Cake sometimes calls me the word Nazi. There's a lot of point of views and access about different words and their meanings and different things like that. And goal and target are one of the differentiations that we use a lot to just show a difference in the energy.
Yeah, we talked about words and their power. So don't forget, guys, when you speak things, even though some people can see, I'm not a seer, but no, just take my word for it. When you say things, they start to crystallize. So they start to create a reality. So when you say things and then you write them on top of it, like you say stuff and then you write it, you start to bring it from out here into reality. So it starts to manifest, for lack of a better word, create. You're creating that. So when you say something over and over and over, and then you write it over and over and over, there's going to be a tipping point where this starts to create. Is it going to be overnight? Probably not, but a couple weeks, a couple years, things start to then form right in front of you. It's fascinating. So, yeah.
And just a word from Jace, very inspiring, target awesome. And target is my new goal. Awesome. And to speak a little bit about that, Did it just go poof? It might have gone poof. Let me see.
Man,
Oh man, this is rough for me
did
today.
you have your
Everything
coffee today, Hank?
I did.
Oh,
I did. I did my little coffee connect. I did my homework actually from our
oh,
group. I did my badass moments
oh,
earlier
nice.
today. So yeah, you can check that out if you want to hear my badass moments. I did everything from playing Dukes of Hazzard to my 75 Chevelle Malibu to the Expo to all kinds of fun stuff came up on that. And what was going to be a 5 minute talk ended up being like 23 minutes, but it was a lot of fun. Oh, now I remember. So there's this. This is inspired from the book Conversations with God, called "Happier Than God," and in there he talks about the mechanism of manifestation, and that there's 5 components to it. And like what we're saying, like you start with that statement of intent or that idea, then you put words to that idea. So you're this is called alignment. Like you're going to be aligned thought, word, and deed. You think, I would like a new job. You start to put words in, you're creating a resume, then you're actually doing the action to go actualize a new job. That is alignment. Then there's congruency. Congruency goes the other way. Instead of working in the physical plane to actually do the work to actualize or manifest, congruency is being aligned with your totality of being, where it's I'm aligned with my mind, I'm aligned with my spirit, I'm aligned with all these things. And those are where you have these magical moments, these moments of true authenticity. Because what if you have an inspiration to feed people and you're functioning from ego and you open up a hot dog cart? This is an example I give in my congruent manifestation talk. But if you were aligned body, mind, and spirit, what if that same inspiration would have opened a soup kitchen? And what if following that would open one in every city in a country or in the world for that matter? So when you start to align body, being, and beyond, it shifts. And then you do the thought, word, and deed, like you have it going this way and this way. That's where like the magic just unravels in your life and appears to things just show up with ease because you're aligned both ways. You're doing the work, good orderly direction. You're rowing your side of the boat with the universe, rowing together to get to your destination. And you're aligned with this way where it's your whole being working for it versus my ego wants this, but my soul wants this. And now I'm separating my energy out. And you can't see my hands. I have to go higher, separating the energy out.
Yeah, this is just it's a lot, and I just had a thought that went poof. Oh,
Oh no, it's contagious. I've
it's
given it to
contagious.
Dr. K. I wasn't wearing my mask, and now she's got my poof syndrome.
Oh, and the limiting beliefs around the COVID continue. And maybe I'll touch on that till my next thought comes back about the whole vaccine. I got this thought coming in my head because I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm not pro-vaccine because of what I know. But I wonder if we could, if it comes to a point that you have to get it, can you override the effects with your head? Is what I'm thinking. Like, can you repel the effects? That would be kind of fascinating to think about. I can't get my
Well,
next thought.
we should do a whole stream just on vaccine because for those of you who don't know, Dr. K is a functional medicine doctor, so she's not saying that she's not pro-vaccine out of like any fear. Like she's very educated around a lot of things, and everybody's still going to have different points of view around that. But we can do a whole stream just on especially as it becomes ready to roll out. We absolutely ought to do it to really go over what it is and all the ins and outs. Word of the day,
Day
proof.
poof.
Mysterious.
Who is stealing my thoughts today? But I do have another thing that came. I did a little Facebook Live video on my own yesterday about masks, and I thought this was really funny. And this is a total tangent that I'm going off on. But,
Oh, we love tangents.
but I was out with a friend for dinner the other day, and she works at a hospital with a doctor that's located in the hospital. So she's not amongst the nurses. She's a biller. But we started talking about masks, and I started and this is my last tangent on masks, but who here has farted? I mean, if you haven't, then God, you're some miraculous person. But who here has been wearing jeans while that happened? Maybe even wearing a ski suit after skiing or something? And who here has smelled or walked through a fart cloud? I mean, it happens. So, but the thought, the molecule, so when that happens, it comes out of your rear end, but there's molecules that pass through, and then we walk through that cloud and we smell it, right? If it could pass through all that stuff, and those molecules are quite large, actually, the virus is like 100 times smaller than that. So it can pass through a mask. So that's my little analogy for today about masks. And my thought has not come back.
That's right.
So we'll wait. It will surface, and maybe
Well,
that's not what Source wanted me to say. So
oh,
maybe I'm not saying
that's
it.
fine. Well, and I have a comment from Mark, and he means this kind of jokingly. However, Mark, I like to spin your little humors. He says, I'm a genius, I'm a visionary, a billionaire, and master of everything. How may I convince others of my awesomeness? My question to you is, where in you do you give so much weight to other people buying into anything about you? Right? Like, where have we been taught to care about other people's points of view about us rather than just choosing to be us? Because it's that authenticity, really not giving a crap. It's none of your business what other people think
But
about
think
you.
about you. Yeah.
Right. It's none of their business. It's none of your business what they think about you. What would it take for you to truly step into your own awesomeness, your own abundance, and all those things? Where are you limiting yourself from not stepping into those? Those are the questions to ask. And don't ask
Mhm.
why, because why is that looping question? But the question would be like, what energy could I be to really step into the infinite gifting from the universe? And every place where I'm not willing to receive that, I'm willing to have a change. I'm willing to destroy and uncreate everything about me that doesn't allow that to occur. And this is, you're doing two things. You're identifying the energy that you can step into. You're identifying the energy that you're not stepping into. And I keep talking with my hands, but you can't see it. That's kind of funny. But really start to ask the question, like, where am I not willing to be me or step into receiving? And that is the real question.
Yeah, worrying about what other people think about you. That's a great limiting belief. And I've struggled with that too. You stay small, then you stay small. And that's a challenging one for a lot of people to break through to. It's like you want to. It's like, okay, I'm just going to be myself. But what if somebody yells at me? What if you learn that behavior somewhere? Somebody taught you that. Don't go big. Don't shine your light. Don't be too egotistical. People don't like that. People don't like to see that. Somewhere we learned that, and we get, who's talking there? One of your parents, one of your siblings, a teacher? Who taught you that you can't show
Right.
people your success? Then you're a jerk, then you're an ass.
Right.
Who cares? Yeah.
Yep. And even more important, what energy could you be to break through that limitation? And everywhere where you're not willing to be it, pot and pock that too. Because this is a whole process of A, stepping into the energy that you'd like to change or get rid of, and B, where am I not willing to have that change? And you're working in tandem with both of those things.
A lot of people stay small in life. And I'm not saying go MFing everybody. That's not what I'm saying. That's an anger issue. But just being you and saying, like I hesitated. Do I even say the word fart, or do I say the word passing gas? We got to be proper. I'm like, screw it, whatever. Make it light. Make it. When a person is open like that, I love being around people like that are just, you want to be around those people because they're fun. They are their authentic selves. And who doesn't want to be around somebody that has identified and aligned with their authentic self? We've been taught so much to be put in a box. Johnny, sit in your chair. Don't say that. Don't laugh out loud. Be quiet. Don't sneeze. I mean, we've been taught all these things and all these beliefs, and we carry them. We carry them like a freaking suitcase. So it's time to untangle them, and people
Like a
always want to
ball and
know.
chain.
Like a ball and chain. They are.
Yeah.
They are balls and chains. And they do take a little time sometimes to unwind. And so the biggest people probably want to know, get to the point, guys. Like, so how do you just cut these limiting beliefs out? They have to be worked on a little bit sometimes. One way is the first thing is to catch yourself, gain the awareness. Is this a limiting belief? Does this make me feel small? So what feeling do you get when this pops up? Constriction or expansion? Like, whoa. If it's an expansion, you want to go towards that and go, okay, this is a limiting belief. I'm going to walk through it anyway. Sometimes I just sweep my ajna, my chakra, and I just move it, throw it in the ground, I clap, and I'm like, no, I'm going to do this anyway. The only way through is through the door. You can't shimmy. You just got to go through the door.
Yeah. And choose differently. If whatever you've been choosing hasn't been working out, what could you choose that would create a different possibility? But half of that battle, like Dr. K said, is you got to be aware that there's a need for the change or a desire for the change. And there's a principle, like Dr. K and I are both in this little boot camp class together. And one of the things that they said on one of the first calls yesterday is that you don't need to even put in 110% or 100%. You just have to want it more than you don't. 51% of you desiring change is enough for you to start choosing change in your life. And then you can grow on that. So don't think that you have to go for gusto and like, oh, I got to change overnight. And, it took you how many years, however you are, to be in the spot that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have the point of view necessarily that it has to take that long to change, but give yourself a break if it doesn't happen overnight and just start to choose. Start to choose different. That is so,
Just
so
choose.
big.
Yep.
And
Just, I'm
don't
not going to
react.
do this.
Because choosing meaning that you're showing up for your life, right? Because reaction is when you did something and then afterwards you're like, oh, why'd I do that? That's not me. That means you were reacting mode, right? But when you're in responding mode, that's the choice mode that I'm talking about. And that's when you're aware and you're realizing that, hey, that's a limiting belief. And what could I choose differently to shatter that belief? I'm going to blast right through it because I'm going to choose something that's going to take me right through.
And then once you do that, you're
Oh my
like,
gosh.
oh,
Hold the phone. He just posted the Elmer Fudd Bugs video I was looking for. It's been like literally a decade. A decade I've been looking for this, and now someone's found it. You're my hero, Jay. I'm just saying.
Jay's
oh,
awesome.
oh, thank you so much. I have been looking for that for so long. I'm so pleased that you have found it for me.
Look at that. Universe delivered. See?
Oh
You
yeah,
made a
I put
choice
it
to
out there.
ask, and look what happened.
Ask and you shall receive. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and a lot of times we generate so much energy around these limiting beliefs like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. This is going to be too big. It's too expensive. I can't do it. And then when you do choose and you walk through, you'll look back and say, oh, that wasn't as tough as I thought it was going to be. I did it. I did it. It's this feeling of I did it. And it feels darn good to getting it off your plate and doing it. It really, really does. You generate way more constriction and congestion around your field, and you'll feel it in your heart. You'll feel it in your stomach. Not doing something, you're going to create so much congestion rather than just doing it and knowing that you did it. And putting that in perspective of life, don't you want to live life to the fullest? Do you want to be in your deathbed looking back saying, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, didn't? You want that? You're better off just doing it. If it doesn't quite work out, you're not going to die. It's fine, you know? So just do it. Whatever it is that you're stuck on and you want to do, it's like, I want to break free. I want to be my authentic self. I want to make that really big purchase. Just do it. Just do it. There is no lack in the world. There really isn't. It's our thoughts around it that we create.
Awesome. Ooh, where to go from there? Well, we're already getting a lot of great comments, but for those of you who are kind of just listening and haven't been participating, any questions, any comments, and things that you'd like to share around beliefs? And one thing I want to offer too, also from the little class that we're doing, for when you are in a place where you're feeling that you aren't good enough to step in and choose something, one of the little homework assignments was to create a badass list. Like go through your life and all the moments that you really had in your past that you were like, wow, that was awesome. I accomplished something. Whether you did a lead in a play, got out of a speeding ticket was one of my examples this morning. Did a Dukes of Hazzard jump into a 75 Chevelle Malibu, also one of mine. Like there's all these little things where you survive something or you accomplish something that when you're in an area where you think that, hey, maybe I'm not worthy, you can read that list and it's going to help bring back that state of being of, I can do this. So that's another little trick that you can do. And now the chat's silent. We say, make a comment. And then nobody's like, you can't make a comment.
Crickets.
Choose differently. Make a comment now.
Do you have something you want to ask? Is there somewhere where any of you are stuck and having some challenges moving through? So, we want to move past, and there's always something that holds us back. And Mark says we're limited by imagination. Absolutely. You create your own limits. Everything is possible. So think about it this way. Somebody thought of a skyscraper up here in their head. And most people say, there's no way. How the hell are you going to build that? That's ridiculous. It's been done. I actually think we're limiting ourselves in today's day because when I went to Italy, have you been to Italy, Frank? Or Hank?
Frank?
No, you know what? Because Jake called you Frank today. He sent me a message. So all of a sudden, I'm like, his name's not Frank, it's Hank.
No, that's his revenge because when we were doing that stream, I kept calling him Mark like nonstop. I think it's like 10 times in 2 days or 2 streams. Kept calling him Mark, so maybe it's just his revenge.
So yeah, it just popped in my head. But if anybody's here been in Italy and to Pisa, there's the building of Pisa, and it's sideways. And some of the architecture, when I was in Italy, I'm like, and this was like 18, like way back. And I'm like, and they built this out of brick and mortar, like unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Like they chiseled at things with rocks and and sticks. And I'm like, the stuff we're making these days is nowhere near what they did. So and if they could think that big and create that out of their heads, I feel like manifestation has gotten smaller as we've gotten, our limiting beliefs are getting more. So we're not thinking big enough these days. If they could create a building that's shifting and it still hasn't fallen over after billions of years, it's like, wow, it's fascinating how
Or
we
even
are
some of the
limiting
older
ourselves.
structures, like the pyramids, for example, or if you go look at Machu Picchu, like these
Yeah,
structures that were built, and it's not just a structure, they built this whole aquifer system for proper drainage so it wouldn't erode. There was like so much engineering knowledge that was applied to some of these things. There's a thing on Disney Plus, if anybody has that, with National Geographic, a whole thing on Machu Picchu that was just like mind-blowing when you look at the degree of skill necessary to even create such a thing. And how
and
did they even know?
and they didn't have the tools we have now. We have all these technological gadgets now to make everything smoother. They didn't have any of that stuff. I don't even know what they had at that point in time. Other sticks, other people, whatever that they created, and the magnitude of what they created far surpasses what we create now in certain respects. So
Yeah.
again, there's your brain at work. Somebody thought about it. It started here, and they created. So everything is created from here. So you better believe if somebody's creating things like at Machu Picchu, you better believe any thought, any limiting belief that you keep repeating to yourself, you are creating over time in your reality.
Yeah. Sandra Owens offers she's been to Ireland and it felt the same way, seeing portions or entire castles, like all in Germany, which is where my wife is from. Like the cathedrals were just
Unbelievable.
a masterpiece, and there was so much detail. And it's like, wow, the amount of knowledge that went into this is amazing too. And Mark says he's been to Italy, now he's banned from ever going back.
Well,
Well, what else is possible, Mark? I think maybe you could write a nice little letter of apology, whatever you did. We don't want to know what you did, Mark. And one thing I wanted to circle back to Mark's comment: we're limited by our own imagination. Imagination is the key to dreaming. The ego then reins that back in. So it's like where we don't give our imagination permission to really expand and explore, and we don't follow it, because you might get this little idea in the ethers, and that's where the manifestation process happens. You take it from that imagination and you start putting thoughts into it and words into it, and then you start creating to write the book or to create the building or whatever it is. The ego is what says, well, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's such a limitation. So imagination's the key, but the ego's beliefs kind of rein that in and like anchor it like a tether. But what would it take to get rid of those tethers and really let that imagination soar?
yeah, and that applies to health too. It's I'm never going to get better. I have this condition. I'm never going to get better. People have healed themselves just like Louise Hay does so much work around this. They've healed themselves just by thinking something over and over and over. I'm better. I am better. I am better. I am better. Is it going to happen overnight? It might, but a lot of times it does take, like Hank talked about a long time ago, a tipping point. And I just had one of my other friends. She just had a tipping point too. She's been doing something over and over and over. Consistent action yields consistent results. She finally had a tipping point. The mind is quieter. I'm like,
Yep.
yes.
That's that
Whew.
good, orderly direction.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
consistency, results, and everything. Jay asks, or it's, oops, wrong one. Someone made a comment and it switched on me right when I was about
We're
to.
way too excited today. Way too excited.
No, I was clicking in the right spot, but the comments all shifted up, right? But Jay offered, Hank and Dr. K, you guys are awesome. When stuff is done the harder way, people were way more creative. Technology has impeded on the
It
ability
it
of humans to
has.
think.
I agree with
Absolutely.
that. I have to agree with that. I didn't quite that line wasn't coming to me in that way. Sometimes I think things in my head and I have a difficult time putting it into words, but it's made our brains a little lazier. But we have different now we're creating technology, so our brain is going, a different direction. Our brain is now, okay, what technology can we create to make this? So it's just we've detoured a little bit, but yeah,
Let's see
they
what
don't make
else.
them like they used to. They don't make things
Oh,
like they used to.
well, Mary Lee offers another like architecture wonder. Just southern France has bathhouses and bridges that were built by the
Built by the
Romans. Like
Romans.
all kinds of the Roman Empire just had all kinds of things. Now their downfall, though, if you didn't know, was their water system because they had lead pipes, and it's believed that that was actually the downfall because they all had lead poisoning. And that's why if you look at some of the old recipes, they had so much salt because one of the symptoms for lead poisoning is inability to taste salt. So that's just a theory. It's not official, but I thought it was a fun fact. And Joseph offers, thought this was an interesting root word of belief is lie. Meaning, media always trying to manage our belief system.
Maybe we should detour to that now. How many of you are buying? I don't think it's going to be in this group, but the beliefs that people are buying into, we're almost like children, and we are being at this point and being imprinted on, and we buy into it all. Nobody's questioning anything, going, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We just buy in. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yep. Yep. They got it. They got
If
like
you see it
50.
on TV, it must be true. If you see it on the internet, it must be true. I would invite everybody, do your own research on anything. And the thought that comes to me is from the aromatherapy standpoint. I'm a certified aromatherapist. We teach in class and give examples of you don't just Google stuff and take it for face value, because the Google is maybe even worse than the media, because there's websites for everything to support every point of view and belief and all that. What is the raw data that you really know? But anyway, the reason I say that is one person had Googled on how to do aromatherapy for cataracts and followed a recipe they found on some blog from one of the multi-level companies and made the stuff that they put in their eye, and they went blind because of it. And so, like, but because that's on the internet doesn't mean it's true. And really take a pause and ask yourself, what's my own knowing around this? In the media, take a pause, step back. What do I know about this? What feels light to me? Because you are an infinite being and you have your own knowing and awareness. And then once you have the feeling of if something has an element of truth or not, then look at it through that lens and recognize that, the raw data that might be underneath isn't necessarily what they're projecting in the media. So that's a real important thing to do with everything.
Yeah, people aren't thinking for themselves anymore. A lot of people have lost the ability, not lost the ability, but
Speaking of lost the ability, Mark was about to make a comment, but it went
poof.
poof.
See, something's going on here. So what entity is pulling thoughts today?
I gotta think Robin Williams, and the only reason I say that,
I
Robin
love
Williams.
Robin.
Well, have you ever seen the Aladdin where he's the genie? He's like, "Poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need to be my own master?" Like, what would it take for you to really be the master of your reality and
Yeah,
to show up what it is that you're truly looking and desiring to create in your life? And poof, it can happen.
it can
So
totally
now
happen.
we're changing poof from it went away to poof. You can make it happen, and it can be that easy if you allow it to. You can allow it to happen because you don't make anything. Everything that ever could be in existence in the universe is, because it's all in the ever-present moment of now. And Neil Donald Walsh talks about this in his book, that it's more you shifting your awareness in order for it to show up in your immediate reality. And they give the example, like when you buy a new car. How many people bought a new car? I'm raising my hand, you can see it now because I'm high enough. Where as soon as you buy that car, you see that car everywhere. Has that number of cars changed of that particular model, or did your awareness of it change? And now it's just in your reality. And it's the same thing could be for money or anything that you like to bring into your life. What would it take for you to allow it to already show, just for it to show up? Because it's already there. We're just not willing for it to be in our reality. What would it take?
Yeah, everything you want is actually already there. I know that's a really weird concept, but
And you know what I
everything.
think about that word, but I know that's not how you mean it.
No, it's not how I mean it. I'm,
I
I'm
know.
trying to just speak to general public.
Yeah.
Everything you want is already there. Everything you desire is already there.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Everything that you have the potential to experience in your reality is there if you choose it. What would it take?
It's just not in your field. It's just not right in front of you. So what stands between you and that thing is there's
Beliefs.
something there. Beliefs. Yeah. Yeah.
Beliefs that you're not worthy.
That's the end of our talk right there. Beliefs that you can't have it, beliefs that and you're not your forward movement towards it. So you can sit and meditate and Zen all day, but you have to have a little bit of co-creationship to bring that in. And so you'll get a message. Go call so and so. Go call Susan, and when you call Susan, Susan leads you to Sean, and Sean leads you to somebody that gets you the thing that you want, desire. Yep. So
and because that just shows up to say, do your part. We've talked about this before in other streams. We put out this intention to the universe, and then we sit back and wait. And for the universe to do it without our assistance, without our co-creationship, it might take 3 years for them to arrange a layoff, so then you're forced to look for your dream job, right? But you could say, universe, I would love to do something different. And then you do your resume and you start looking and seeing what's possible and applying for things. And then because you're doing your own part, you're rowing. Like the universe isn't rowing on one oar, you're rowing on the other. If you're not doing your part, you're going in a circle. But if you're doing your part, you get that good orderly direction, and you really can start to actualize things very quickly. But if you got to do your part, suit up and show up. That's the key to that.
Absolutely. I had 2 clients yesterday. One that just, I desire for her to get, it's not my desire. Oh, now I'm getting all tongue twisted.
It's okay.
Her job is very stressful and it's really having a bad impact on her health. And I'm like, when? Oh, I'm looking. I looked for some that I found. I'm like, okay, great. What have you done? If you're just looking, you're taking a small step. I'm like, have you sent the application? No. Have you sent your resume? No. That's the next step, my dear. Please send the resume, because why are you staying in this comfortable place? You need to move forward. send the resume. You got to take some steps to get there. And
Right.
same, yeah, with another client that came in and she wants to quit where she's at, or she wants to do something different. She doesn't want to be doing these jobs, even though she's very gifted at what she can still contribute a ton there. But she took some leap and nothing happened. I'm like, well, are you on Facebook? Are you sending letters? Are you sending? Nope, nope, nope. Don't, no desire to be on Facebook. I'm like, well, how are people going to know that you're around? People,
Yeah.
this is unfortunately we're at this stage of we're not in the stage of sending letters. Not too many people open that as much anymore. People are on Facebook. I have no desire to do that. I'm like, well, then your road to get there is going to be way, way, way slower. And the universe is probably prompting you to do that. And if you want to do that, then you got to take some steps. Some steps. Yeah.
Right. And what's the raw data there? Is there a point of view about Facebook? Or like if you really ask 5 years from now, if I go on Facebook, how does my life feel? Does it create more lightness or more heaviness? And that's where we start to get into our binary dialogue with the universe of what's going to create lightness in our life. You can use that with anything. This job or job A, B, or something I haven't considered. 5 years from now, if I choose A, how does my life feel? B, 5 years from now, how does my life feel? C, okay, there's something else. And then you can start to have this dialogue. And the more you practice that, you just instantly know what feels light, and you can start navigating very quickly to create really cool realities. Now, I think Ernie has narrowed down the entity that's making our thoughts go out of our mind. Poof, the magic dragon. It probably
Damn
is.
magic dragon. Ah.
Yeah. And for those of you, if you have questions, comments, we're in our like kind of final 10 minutes. Now is the time. If you do have questions that you'd like us to speak to, please comment. If you're watching this on a replay, please comment and put the time stamp of when you're making your comment. Because I have noticed that when we go back and do look at some old comments, we have no context for the comment because we have no clue what we were saying when that comment was made. So if you are going to be commenting on a replay, please make your comment and like put a little timestamp so we can kind of get a sense of where your comment was, so we can make it relative. Yeah, let's see. Oh, we're not leaving yet. The mystery Facebook user says, "Thank you for the wonderful conversation." You're very welcome, mystery Facebook user. How, but we still got a little bit of time. And for those of you watching in any of the Facebook groups that we've shared this to, there is a link that says "Give StreamYard permission." For data sharing or whatnot, and then we actually see who you are. But if you don't click that, then you come up like this mystery Facebook user, or do like Joseph did. He wrote his name and then made the comment, so we can at least reference you by name, because we like to honor you for making the comment, but we just have to call you mysterious Facebook user if you don't.
And perhaps does this warrant a part two? Do you comment below if you feel like you want to talk about this a little more? Sometimes we need to hear things multiple times.
And in different ways.
In a different way, because I state things a certain way, Hank states things a certain way, maybe third person's going to state things a completely different way that it jives and gets into the brain. So if you want to continue having this conversation or more of it, so it sinks in a little more, because sometimes we need to hear things a second and third time, we can do a part two on this. So if you want that, please post, and we will do a part two, because this is a loaded topic.
Yep. And Mark was just offering Facebook is how he met the two of us. So like that's a wonderful thing. Imagine if you hadn't ever joined Facebook, Mark, you would never notice. We wouldn't have your terrible jokes and not terrible jokes, but this is one of Mark's jokes. I didn't put it up yet. I want crab legs. Where are they hiding at? Like Mark has this little sense of humor that usually I just spin it right into some sort of possibility. And we do have Ernie just saying, "You are wonderful today. What would it take for Dr. K and I to be wonderful every day?" Are you implying we haven't been wonderful in past days? I don't have a point of view about wonderful or not. There's been days that I've streamed that have been off. There's been some midnight meanderings that were like pulling teeth because Brian was having like some funk, and afterwards I'm like, we had no business being on a stream today, brother. That was rough. That was rough. People don't want to hear about you packing for an hour, but
and Marie says, "Oh yes, thank you." Yeah. Okay, maybe we can do a part two. We'll keep drilling, maybe with more techniques. I'll pull up some more techniques. Yeah. Something.
So the question is next week part two, or do we do what we were planning for next week? I don't know.
Yeah, do we reveal what that is?
I don't know. Should we reveal what that is? We had a really interesting topic that, I think we should move forward with what we were planning, honestly. Should we reveal it now? I think that was the plan, wasn't it?
Okay. All right. Fine. Surprise.
Okay. Well, as soon as it uploads, I'm bringing this up because there is a lot of things going on in the world that could actually be symptoms for something else. And that's why we're going to do a whole topic on the symptoms of ascension. As we as human being or doings, as we as human doings are really starting to step into the space of human beings, what is our experience? What happens in the body? What happens in our experience where we might think something's going on, but it is just this energetic shift? And that's what we're going to be talking about, I believe, next Friday, unless something changes, because we've been known to be spontaneous and do all kinds of different things. Everybody was saying, "What were you planning?" Yeah, so we told you, so it's all good.
Some
And
people are asking for part two, though. Part two, Mark wants a part three. Okay.
yeah, Mark says, I
So,
believe I part 2 and 3 of this topic. Maybe this is also a Zoom thing that we could do, and with a little bit more deeper dive, more personally with people. That might be something we could create too, if there's an interest in it. And Marcus is saying, thanks for the wisdom and the fun. Enjoy your weekend. You too, Mark. Thank you so much. And Joseph offering eclipse energies, high vibes at 10:55 a.m. Is that today? Is the eclipse today? Oh my goodness.
is it?
I don't
Might have been
know.
off. Hold
10:55.
on.
Maybe that's like now. Is that really now, Joseph, or is that a different
Maybe
day?
that explains our poofs in our
Yeah,
heads.
we got eclipse. It's eclipsing our thoughts out of our head. Poof. Where did it go? Poof. Where did it go? But I think
Yeah.
we muddled through it just fine. And then the other thing,
Five
let me
minutes.
throw this up to, like, it's kind of late to choose this now, because Dr. K and I do these energy clinics on the first and third Monday of the month, but the next one only has like one slot left. So you can go on the website, and it's going to be 3 weeks from Monday. Oh, I forgot that it's
21st.
it's going to be the December 21st is the next one, but then but that only has like one spot left. So snag it if you want it, if you choose it. And then the next one I think will be January, first and third January of the month. But and those ones are totally free. But people have been loving it so much. We would have people finish a session and say, "Put me down for next time." And so now we almost fully booked out our following. That's how much change and possibility happened. So maybe we have to add one. We'll see. And Ernie says the eclipse is the 14th. Whew. Because I was planning to do something like at the moment of the eclipse, and I'm like, shit. Man, I totally missed it. And shit is not a bad word. It is an acronym, because you guys know
Here
I
we
love
go.
acronyms. Spiritual human in transition. Awesome acronym.
Oh, yeah. So we'll plan on a part two, guys. Maybe not next week, but perhaps after Christmas we'll follow up with this, because I know this is,
Yep.
and it's a
Ooh,
great way to start the new year. I think start
because
purging.
because after too, whether you're seeing family, you're probably going to be dealing with family a lot over the holiday. And one of the acronyms we have in Access, and I'm going to not use the actual words so I don't get pulled from iTunes when I upload this, but family stands for effed up and mainly interested in limiting you. And so when you just had a dose of family, like everything,
Oh my gosh,
every
it's great.
everything that we just undid through this conversation, you end up having family, and family has all these projections and expectations of a role that you've played in the family, and we sometimes fall into that role like a well-trodden wagon will run. So we'll definitely need to do like a little, I believe, booster shot after the holidays to help everybody break free of all the limiting beliefs and roles that they fell into from family.
Yeah, for sure. Cut your cords to that. Don't let that poof.
Yeah,
It's an energy. When people throw things on you, they actually, if you are able to see it energetically, it's like a cloud. And so Hank and I clean that up when you come to the energy clinics. So just to let
yeah,
you know, I clear that. He does his gig. So you leave without all that gunk, and it
yeah.
helps you see more clearly.
Yeah, and if you do come to the energy clinic and you're really open to phenomena stuff, then let me know, because I think I sometimes hold back when it's like somebody brand new. I'm like, how crazy, wild, and like out of the box can I be? I don't want to have a person, because this happened once. I started a ceremony one time, and I had someone get up and beeline, like they ran out of the place, because I started calling in entities, and they were very aware of things. And they were also drunk, which I found out later. But they
Oh
were just
my.
like, "Whoa, what just showed up here? I'm out!" And they like beelined it out. So like, make sure you know that you let me know that I can do a little bit more shamana stuff with you, and I can.
Shenamina. I like that. I'm
Oh,
going to call it. Hank does some shenamina stuff.
and early offers like just the word Teflon. That is the goal, or the target rather, of your bubble, of what we call the Papo in the shamanic tradition, or your aura. Your bubble is like Teflon. Shit hits, but it doesn't stick. And so, what would it take going into the realm of family that you could be bombarded with all their beliefs, expectations, projections, judgments, and conclusions about who you should be, and just move right through it and still be your authentic voice? What would it take?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
be that for your family. It is a gift to your family for you to be you and break that up. Because as you really step into that authentic voice and you don't take that, all the people around you start to change. So it is an amazing
Yes.
gift of transformation. If you could just be you with your family, please do it. And drive them nuts, drive them crazy, and watch between now and next time you see them how much changes.
Yeah, it happens. I've seen it happen. It has happened in my life. So, yeah, it's fun to watch. It is really fun to
All right,
watch. It's like,
I'm going to throw this up and then I'm going to play the outro video so we can upload to Instagram. Joseph adds, getting hit with sun farts too, 10:59 a.m. Sun farts, yeah, that could possibly be it. But thank you everybody for being part of this conversation. We will see you next time, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. See you later, guys.
bye, guys.